Okay. Well, thank you all for making the time out of your busy schedules to be here this afternoon. We've got this meeting recorded, so if you are needing to hop off a little bit early and aren't able to stay for the whole time, don't worry about it too much. We'll get the recording sent out to you. We will be opening up some time at the end for any questions that you may have. Feel free to type them in the chat. But I'm it's really exciting. Honestly, this has been so nice to be able to work with Erica from the Oklahoma Rural Schools Coalition. A lot of you on here may know her already, probably as she and I have been the ones reaching out to you, but we're really excited to have Kelly Hosford with us too from Choctaw-Nakoma Park Schools. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about some of the mental health supports that are offered through the Cook Center, some that are offered through Oklahoma. And Choctaw-Nakoma Park is going to share a little bit of what their experience has been in utilizing some of those. So just as a quick background here, my name is Nick Newbold. I've been working with the Cook Center for about almost 2 years now, and I think we all kind of have a little bit of a story. I'll keep mine brief, I guess, but um, I've dealt with some suicidal thoughts in the past, and this has really helped me to kind of move forward and kind of, I guess, take that back a little bit working with the Cook Center. Um, just a ton of great resources, and obviously I can toot my own horn because I work for them, but um, it's tough as a parent dealing with that, and as an individual dealing with that, and trying to figure out, how do I move forward. So I'm glad to be on here and present these with you. And Erica, I'll let you go next and kind of do a brief introduction here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Erica Wright, and I am the founder of the Oklahoma Rural Schools Coalition. We are a public school advocacy group, volunteer-led, and we specifically focus on advocating for rural public schools, mainly at the Capitol. But I was also thrilled to be invited to go to the National Rural Education Association conference last fall, and this is where I met Nick and the Cook Center and sat in on some of the breakout sessions. And the content really, really moved my heart. As a mom of a child that does struggle with mental health challenges, I have had a really rough several years, and I know firsthand how difficult it is for parents when they're in a situation and they don't know where to turn, and there are so few resources out there. And I left, honestly, I left their class in tears because I was so grateful to know that there's something out there that can help parents through this. So I'm just so glad all of you are here today to learn more about what the Cook Center has to offer. And I will punt it on over to you, Miss Kelly.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelly Hosford. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Choctaw-Nakoma Park Schools over Student Services. I met Nick about a year ago when he came into my office to share about their program. And like Erica, I was almost in tears when I heard about this, because we have resources for so many of our kids. But parenting is such a journey, and sometimes you feel so alone, or you're the only one going through something as a parent. And we didn't have many resources that we could share with our parent group. And so the Cook Center has been something in every meeting, whether it's an IEP meeting or a parent-teacher conference, that we're able to place in front of parents and just say, we know that sometimes you may have questions, or you just may need some help, or that you're not alone and you're not the only one experiencing this. And so the Cook Center has really been able to provide that for us, and we're so grateful to be a partner with them.
Thanks, Kelly. So kind of going off of that, I think what you mentioned, a lot of parents feeling like they're alone. I think, and I've shared this with Eric and with Kelly. Partially, I like to share this because I like my kids and I think they're cute. Part of it, though, this is kind of the narrative that we tell our parents, or not necessarily that we tell, but that our culture tells our parents. This is what they see on social media. You have to have it all put together. And if our kids, or if we have something that we're going through, you can't show that. It's tough breaking through. And so, kind of one of the goals of the Cook Center is showing that not every parenting moment is perfect. And sometimes the more beautiful ones are when your little 1-year-old's getting, gouging your eyes out for a family photo. So kind of the goal here, being able to support children's mental health through empowering families. We believe that being able to get the students those supports, not just while they're at school, but while they're at home, can really make a difference. So just some background on the Cook Center. Some of you on the call may not have heard of us before. We're partnered with the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline, with Mental Health America. We have, if any of you have been to AASA, we've had Alex Boyer present there as a keynote speaker for us on this last year, as well as next week when he's presenting at the conference. I believe it's in San Diego next week. We've partnered with the Jed Foundation with some others on suicide research here, and just sharing some of the facts in Oklahoma. Again, this may be preaching to the choir. If you guys are on this call, this may be something that you're passionate about already. But just to give some context and make the tie between mental health and academics here, we are seeing a much higher likelihood for dropouts with those that are going through mental health struggles. With that, about 15% of the people in Oklahoma are uninsured, and roughly, almost 50% are unable to get those resources that they are seeking with mental health care because of the cost. And a lot of that being either they're forced out of network, or a big part of it just being, a 1.5 million people in the state are just in a community that doesn't have a lot of access to those mental health solutions and services. So kind of the goal of the Cook Center here is being able to fill that gap. Hopefully, whether you are in a more rural community or just in a community that maybe there's a long wait list, whatever you may be facing, we can provide some help here. So I'm going to start out talking about parentguidance.org and mylifeisworthliving.org. These are both free resources. The first one being My Life is Worth Living. This is endorsed by the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And Erica is going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of our presentation here. But I want to share, and I'm going to share my sound here too. Apologies. But I'm going to share a brief clip from one of these episodes. This is Kyle's story. Deals more specifically with bullying. So this is a animated series, more specifically to show parents and staff as well, really how to have these difficult conversations when you may think that either a student or a loved one is going through something difficult, and showing the students too that this isn't okay. You're not alone in this, kind of like what Kelly was saying.
If you have a loved one who's struggling with mental health, this conversation could save their life.
Dad.
Come here. Are you okay?
No.
Kyle, I need to ask you something, and I want you to know that whatever the answer is, I love you. You've seemed pretty down lately, and I'm worried about you. Have you been thinking about taking your life? I'm here. Now tell me about it.
Get help at mylifeisworthliving.org/help.
So every single one of those episodes is broken up into 5-minute segments. There's about 20 minutes worth of content per character, and every single one of those has a free lesson plan. So if a school counselor or a social worker or whoever is trying to hold maybe a group intervention or a one-on-one with a parent or with a student, they've got some resource there that they can use to direct them. I know there's a lot of different initiatives, a lot of different things that their directions are getting pulled in different places, but just something to help ease the lift, ease the burden off their shoulders a little bit as they're trying to address some of those with the students. So the next one that I want to share here is parentguidance.org. This one, I'm just going to take you live onto the website just to give you a feel for what this looks like. Essentially, there's no login or anything required, but parents can come on here and click on this on-demand courses portion. There's over 50 courses here. They're all broken up into modules, maybe 5 to 10 minute modules. Each course is about 30 minutes to an hour. And really anything and everything that a parent could need on here. If their son or daughter is dealing with anxiety, we have all these to cover that. If there's just stuff that, hey, as a parent, I'm at my wit's end, which is, you know, I've got a little 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I think some days I think my wife a little more than me, but there's some days that are tricky, and so just finding a space where we can go to get that help, that can be really important. So these are all available in Spanish, as well as My Life is Worth Living. And how this kind of segues, I'm going to talk a little bit about parent coaching, which is one of our partner services. So as school districts are going through, obviously, parentguidance.org, My Life is Worth Living, those are free. Schools that need a little bit more assistance and are wanting to provide more in-depth resources to their community, they'll either partner to do mental health series, parent coaching. So the mental health series here, these are live topical webinars. These are anonymous for the parents. Parents hop on, and they're also sent a recording of the link. So worst case scenario, I know you've got a lot going on as a parent, and even if you commit to something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to have the time to be there. A recording of this event is sent out to the parents after the fact, and also sent out to the schools. And I'll share in just a second. Choctaw-Tacoma Park has done a good job at getting that up on their website, but we handle all the marketing materials for that. Again, trying to take a little bit of the burden off of you guys, as schools are trying to get words out to parents. So how this ties into parent coaching, that's a little bit more of I guess a one-on-one service in this case. But any parents that are going on to parentguidance.org and they see that parent coaching piece, if the school has partnered with us, they're able to access that as much as they need throughout that whole calendar year. So basically, the parents have access to weekly 30-minute calls with a coach. I've been working with one of these parent coaches too. They're great. Messaging response, it's guaranteed within 24 hours. Typically, it's even quicker than that, honestly. Most of the time, they get back to me within a couple hours. They're all trained in cognitive behavioral therapy. And the great thing about this is, even if your parents or if any of the resources in your community have long wait lists, this one, honestly, I signed up for it. I met with a coordinator 2 days later, and I met with my coach the same week. So it's a really quick turnaround. Again, that's available in English or Spanish. And I think one of the things, sometimes in accessing these resources, the big, I guess, barrier can just be, hey, you know, I don't want so-and-so to know that I'm going through this. I don't want so-and-so to know that my kid is dealing with this. This is all HIPAA protected. So they're not worried about, you know, hey, how's it going to look when my neighbor sees my truck out in front of the therapist's office, or whatever the case may be. It just skirts around that. So we're able to give some feedback from the parents. We keep their identities anonymous, but we're able to provide some feedback for the schools as far as what parents have been saying, kind of engagement levels. And again, we provide the heavy lifting in getting flyers and email templates and things like that sent out to the districts that are partnered with us. So just to give you an example, real quick, and then I'll give you an example. We also do offer for staff professional development offerings. These are either on-site or virtual, dealing with mental health, dealing with bullying, better parent engagement. I will send this out afterwards so you have a copy of these topics if this is something of interest to you. But I'll go ahead and turn the time over to Kelly now. This is just a clip of part of what they got up on their website, kind of as a landing page for some of the free resources, as well as some of the resources that they've partnered with us. But go ahead, Kelly, I'll let you take it away.
Like I said, we started this service this school year, and we had the unthinkable happen during the month of August at our first home football game. And I know most of you all have seen the news and know about that. We had a shooting where a student was not from our district, but another district was killed. And I think at 4 a.m, maybe I emailed Nick, and by 9 o'clock that morning, I had a phone call from him, and they pulled all kinds of resources for us that we could just we didn't have to search, that they were just right there. And we were able to get those things out to our parents very quickly that Saturday in a communication. They have also done for us a staff development. They did one in the fall, and it was on compassion fatigue, and then the hands-on activities for trust and positive relationships in the classroom. And our staff that attended that said that was the best professional development they'd ever had. It was very appropriate for the classroom. They came away with lots of different ideas and understanding things and their students even more. We have a Zoom professional development on the 19th that is going to be about suicide prevention and the virtual escape room. And our staffs are very excited about that as well. We've had great success with the nights, the parenting Zoom nights. We were able to choose 13 topics from the list of choices. We just had one on Tuesday night on anxiety that was very strongly attended by our parents and a lot of good feedback from our parents. We have another one at the end of the month on self-harm, but we just went through this list and really chose what we thought would be we were seeing in our district, and from the research and the feedback that we had had from principals and parents, what were some things they were really struggling with. And so those have been very beneficial. And like Nick says, once they sign up, then, they get the link to the video or to the parenting Zoom, and then we're able to put that out on our website as well. And so it's been a great thing. We've had parents take advantage of the parent coaching, and that's been maybe one of the neatest things, and what our district has said they've liked the most, because the wait time, as you all know, can be 6 months to a year to get their child help or to get themselves help. And with this, they have it immediately. And so I'm really thankful for that service. This has been one of the greatest things I feel like our district's ever done. Because this, as we all know, if the emotional well-being of our kids is not in the right place, then the learning can't take place. And it's the same for our parents as well. So this is just a screenshot of our district website and the different topics that are on there. And they can go on our district website, and our school sites also have this on their website as well. Nick, is there anything else you want me to cover, or does anyone have any questions?
I've got one, I guess one that may be helpful. I know a lot of school districts in Oklahoma right now may not have funding for something like this, or maybe they're working with different funding sources. Would you mind sharing kind of what that looked like for you guys, how you were able to fund something like this?
We had some title money that we used, or some rescue money that we used to help pay for this. Special populations also helped pay for this. I just was able to, I just received a grant. We had gotten the Counselor Corps grant 3 years ago, and they had extra monies available that districts could write grants to provide programs for them. It could not be used for staffing. And so I put the Cook Center in there for us to be able to have it again next year. And then those of you, I have this on my desk. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but there is, and I've not really had a chance to look through it thoroughly, but it's the MTSS system of supports for prevention services that came out yesterday. And so that is also, I think, something that would apply in helping with payment for the Cook Center.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. Thanks for being able to share that. And yeah, like Kelly said, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and we'll address those here at the end in just a little bit.
And I
So
can
we'll
put
go
my,
ahead.
I can
Oh,
put
yeah,
my
go ahead.
email. I can put my email in the chat too, Nick, if that's okay with you, in case anybody thinks of something later that they want to ask or has a question. Are you okay if I do that?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
totally fine.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and turn the time back over to Erica here to talk about some more local Oklahoma resources here.
Sorry, I was on mute. I have a bulldog next to me and he's very loud. And so I have to keep it on mute because he's snoring right now. Just kind of a little bit of history. Last week, this is the second part of a 3-part series that we have been putting on for parents and educators in Oklahoma. Last week, we met about the parent-free resources. And this is one of the things we went over with them. We're going to go over with you as well. The 988 Mental Health Lifeline is something that is available to all Oklahomans, regardless of where you live, regardless of what your age is. This is available to everyone. Most of you, if you're mental health professionals within the schools or educators, you may be aware of this, but you may not. So 988, you can call into, you can text into. If you are calling or texting from a place with an out-of-state area code, you may want to let them know where you are. But you call that and you connect with somebody. They visit with you for a while, kind of triage the situation. And then if more help is needed, they will go ahead and connect the person who called in with a crisis response. And at that point, that's fine, a mobile crisis team. Then at that point, if you need some additional help, they will even help you get transported to where you need to go, whether that's an urgent care center or a crisis center. The state of Oklahoma has really been working hard to get this off the ground, working with all kinds of different people to be able to bring help to Oklahomans who need it. So that 988 is a resource we have in the state of Oklahoma. We also have an incredible resource specific to our youth that is called the Youth Crisis Mobile Response. This is, again, a toll-free number that you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your students can call this, the children, parents can call this. And I have personally had an incredible experience with this Youth Crisis Mobile Response. So once you call in, similar to 988, they will visit with you, visit with your child, to kind of determine where we are in the situation, if this is crisis or if it's something that we can refer out. And then within 24 hours, you will have somebody contact you for follow-up on that next step decision. So what was really impressive for me when we had to use the youth crisis hotline, and we've called them a couple of times, but there was one time where I was home alone with my children. My husband was out of town. It was late at night. Of course, things like this typically don't really ever happen when it's a convenient time for everybody, right? And we had a crisis with one of my children, and we called the youth crisis hotline, and within an hour, I had 2 counselors on my doorstep at 2 o'clock in the morning there to help my son and my family. And that was amazing. Now, I live in Noble, so we are, we're closer to the city. It may take a little bit longer if you're in a rural area, but particularly for those of us in rural areas, this is a really great resource that can connect you with help until they can triage you and get you to the next step. So I want to make sure that everybody has this. In my personal opinion, I think every school should be handing this out to every single parent in magnet form to put on the refrigerator the first day of school or back to school night. It's a wonderful resource. And then when we did our, before we launched the series last week, the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse reached out to us and wanted us to share some of their resources as well. There's a list that I think Nick can flick over to the next slide. So there's a list here. A lot of you may be familiar with some of these. We're not going to go into them in detail today because of time, but after today's call, we're going to be sending you a follow-up email that will have the slide deck in it. We'll have a detailed PDF that explains what all of these, most of these are school-based, child-focused programs. And so you can read more about that if your school's not connected with those. And for those of you who are parents, even if there's something you see in here that you like, please take this information to your school counselor, to your principal, to your superintendent. And so we'll be sending this over as well with a little bit more detail in it so you can read about these programs and contact the individuals who are in charge of facilitating these programs in our state. And I think that is it. I do want to let all of you know that after today, all of these resources will also live on our website. That's okruralschools.org. At the top of the website, you'll see a resources tab, and then it will, you just click down and pick mental health resources, and we will have all of the content from last week and all of the content from today. All of the documents, all of those things will be available on the website. And in addition, you'll be able to register for our next one, but I'll get to that when we close. So I'm going to hand this back to you about the Ask a Therapist Live.
Yeah, I just got one last thing here. So this is a feature kind of similar to the mental health series. This is one that we just barely launched last month, in January 24th was our first event. Had a lot of good success. I'm going to play just a brief clip of this, but essentially, I wanted to invite you all. So initially, I had just planned on, hey, I'll extend this invite out to maybe 3 districts or whatever. We'll kind of pick and do a raffle or whatever. I just think the need is so great, and in this case, it's something that I have a little bit of a longer leash on. So I think I'm gonna extend this out to anyone and everyone on the call. If you want to hop onto the February 21st one, reach out and we'll get you some more information on that. But this is kind of what that looks like. So essentially, this one, there's a little bit less flexibility than with the mental health series because it's a national event, but we have our clinical director, Kevin Skinner, on this event, and he's taking that hour to field parent questions. So essentially for Central Time, you're hopping on at 7 p.m. February 21st. And this is a clip from the last one, just to show you one of the questions that was answered.
On a scale between
what that looks like.
0 and 100, what percentage of your ability to understand your child, in other words, how much do you understand your child's challenges, who their best friends are, what their experiences are, and how they're experiencing school, their own fears, their worries, maybe some of the other life challenges that you don't know. What percentage would you say, I know this percentage of my child, I know this much about them? Now, as parents, you know this is true. How many secrets did you keep from your parents? How many things did they not know that you were doing? All right. So your parents, and they think they know you, and if you're a parent, you know darn well as a teenager, you're like, yeah, they don't know much about me. But what happens when we actually have conversations, when we can talk about whatever? See, what we're missing in our society is conversations. So I love this question. We're missing these meaningful dialogues. And so the question you're really asking is who is my child? What are they experiencing? What are their life challenges? And you can say, well, I don't know if my child wants to talk about that. Oh my goodness. Get your child talking, create that kind of a safe environment, because all relationships, if you're going to take notes on anything I say tonight, this is the principle. All human connection is based upon one fundamental principle, and that's the principle of safety.
So if that is something you feel would be beneficial in your community, in your school, you can reach out to me either at this email here, or even scan this QR code. It'll take you to kind of an interest form. But yeah, normally this is a paid feature. We're having it free for this month. So come on and check it out and see if it's something that would be of use to your families. But we're so glad that all of you were able to join us today, whether in person or the recording after the fact. And please feel free to reach out with any other questions you may have. And we'll leave a little bit of time here at the end if any of our participants on here have any additional questions. But thank you, guys.
Oh, I'm talking with my mute on again. Sorry. It looks as if I think most of the questions were answered in the chat, but Deborah asked if we would be receiving a copy of the PowerPoint. Yes, we will be sending that slide deck out to you with our follow-up. Tiara commented that she would really like to see some Native American numbers, and I think this was back in the earlier slide where you're showing statistics about Oklahoma. And I think that would be very interesting to see as well. I don't know, I don't have that data, but I don't know if that's something that you guys have access to on that granular of a level.
Especially southeastern Oklahoma, that's a big Native American population area there.
Yeah. I think we could be able to find that data. So I appreciate that feedback because you're right. That is a good reach out to the Oklahoma Council for Indian Education. Okay.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Tira. I think that's a great point. Does anybody else have any other questions? And if so, type them into the chat or the Q&A, and I will go ahead and wrap up and let you know that, again, all of this will be living on our website at okruralschools.org. And I also would like to invite you to our next third part of this series on March the 7th at 7 p.m. We are going to be hosting another webinar with Nick talking about, so last week we did our free resources for parents. This week is the full meal deal on all of the school-based programs that they have. And on March 7th, we're going to be talking about the peer-to-peer suicide prevention program that they have in partnership with the Hope Squad. So I'm really excited to learn more about that. And I hope you guys can hop on that with us as well. Similar to today's, you will have to register for that, but we will send you that link and it will also live on our website.
Okay. Tierra says Northwest Rep for the organization.
Currently getting help. Yes. Excellent.
Yeah. And Tierra, is there anyone you'd recommend us reaching out to, or I guess we could reach out to you as well, to get more of that information out to you all? Sorry, we're waiting for you to type in the chat now, but Tierra K. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll take note of that. Thank you, Tierra.
Okay, well, it looks as though I don't think we have any other questions. So thank you everyone so much for coming today. Always feel free to reach out to me as well. My number is on the bottom of our website, but it's 405-630-6538. And my email is okruralschoolscoalition@gmail.com. And thank you all for coming today.
Yeah, thank you guys. Take care.